What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. And look like one WNBA owner is calling out reporters for falsifying pretty much profits made and teams' value in the recent Forbes article. And we all know a lot about this owner. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way to LA. Let's get it. Let's go. We found ourselves in a little bit of a Charlotte's Web, man. This time it's regarding WNBA ownership. Now, we know that the WNBA players is currently dealing with
Magic Johnson, one of the most well-known WNBA owners, has publicly pushed back against Forbes and the high valuations they've placed on his team and others in the league. He says reporters inflated the numbers and got key financial details wrong. His comments have sparked major debate and raised questions about what the league is really worth. This wasn't a small disagreement. Johnson openly suggested the issue goes beyond simple mistakes, hinting at something more serious behind how these figures were presented. His statement lands at a sensitive moment, with players preparing for critical CBA negotiations that will shape salaries and future investments. What's at stake isn't only the listed value of each franchise. It's the credibility of the league itself. If these numbers are proven misleading, the trust that fans, sponsors, and players place in the WNBA could be damaged. The outcome of this dispute may have lasting effects on how women's professional basketball is viewed and supported moving forward.
Time out of his day to pretty much call out reporters for falsifying and lying about the value of his Los Angeles Sparks. Now, Magic Johnson is an NBA legend, one who never bites his tongue, and one who always makes sure to tell the truth. Let's head on over to Google right now to pull up this article, man. This one is very interesting because, like I told y'all, these owners don't have any reason to lie to these ladies, bro. I've been telling y'all this. So a lot of people been saying that the owners is lying and all this and that. Now, Shaq is the owner.
The dispute grew after Forbes reported that the Los Angeles Sparks, co-owned by Magic Johnson, were worth about $235 million, placing them 8th in team value back in 2020. Forbes also suggested that the average WNBA team was on track to reach nearly $69 million around the same time. Together, these numbers supported a story of rapid growth and strong investor confidence in the league. But those claims are now being questioned from the inside. What once looked like proof of rising financial success has become the center of a heated debate over whether the league's value was overstated. The picture of a booming market is no longer taken at face value, and the accuracy behind those valuations is under serious review.
I've been telling y'all this. So a lot of people been saying that the owners is lying and all this and that. Now, Shaq is the owner. Magic Johnson is the owner, and I believe Tom Brady owned the team too. I believe Tom Brady owned the Aces. But let's read this. It says Magic Johnson fact checks WNBA ownership at the $235 million news. What damn There's a WNBA team worth 200 some million. Let me look this up real quick, bro, because I just don't think it's a WNBA. That's my
Magic Johnson pushed back hard after seeing headlines claiming the Sparks were worth around $235 million. The reaction online was basically, wait, a WNBA team is really worth that much. And even Johnson himself wasn't letting the number slide without a closer look. He went straight to X to set the record straight. Instead of celebrating the valuation, he corrected what Forbes implied about ownership. Johnson explained that Mark Walter is the majority owner of the Sparks, while he is a partner, not the main owner. On the surface, it sounded like a simple clarification. But the larger point was clear. If Forbes got the ownership details wrong, what else might be off? By publicly calling this out, Johnson wasn't just correcting a title. He was openly questioning how Forbes came up with its numbers in the first place. His post raised serious doubts about the data behind the reported team values and signaled that the league may be facing deeper questions about how its financial story is being told.
Most expensive, my bad, WNBA team. Let's see here. Wow, said the Golden State Valkyries is valued at $500 million in mid. You want to know why? Damn, now that I think about it, because they're a brand new team, bro. That's why they're trying to get these new teams. So the Indiana Fever is actually valued at $335 million, simply because of Caitlin Clark. The New York Liberty, I knew they was up there, but the hundreds of millions of dollars, damn.
Magic Johnson's voice carries real weight in this situation. He isn't just a former NBA superstar. He's a billionaire businessman with major investments across several industries, from real estate and healthcare to food and entertainment. He also owns stakes in multiple pro sports teams, including the Washington Commanders, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Los Angeles FC. In other words, he knows how team finances work at the highest level. So when he questions reported valuations, people pay attention. His involvement turns this from a small correction into a serious financial issue that the league can't brush off. Johnson's challenge suggests the numbers may not just be slightly off, they could be fundamentally misleading, and that puts pressure on the entire system to provide real answers.
Los Angeles FCS, which I believe that is a soccer team. Now, with that being said, Johnson revealed some exciting news recently after Forbes named the Sparks as one of the most valuable women's sports teams of 2025. The LA franchise ranked at number 13 with the $235 million value, making it the 8th most valuable WNBA team. Now, however, when Johnson shared the news, he couldn't help but to point out Ford's mistake. Now, this is what Magic Johnson said on X. That's what we finna pull up right now. So Magic Johnson stated this.
The situation has become even more tense because it comes at the same time players are negotiating their new collective bargaining agreement. Team valuations and revenue numbers are key parts of those talks. If the reported values aren't accurate, it could change how much leverage players actually have at the bargaining table. That's why Johnson's comments matter so much. If the numbers are inflated, players may be earning less than they should based on the league's real value. Their salaries, bonuses, and long-term financial security all depend on honest reporting. In short, this isn't just a dispute over accounting. It's a moment that could shape how fairly WNBA players are paid in the future, making the accuracy of these valuations more important than ever.
Point out Ford's mistake. Now, this is what Magic Johnson said on X. That's what we finna pull up right now. So Magic Johnson stated this. Forbes put out an article about the world's most valuable women's sports teams on December 17th. On that was our Los Angeles Sparks. They have Eric Holman listed as the owner, but our majority owner of the Sparks is Mark Walter. And his partner include me, Todd, Robert, Stan, Billie Jean King, Mark Walter, put Eric in place to manage the organization. Now, not long.
Public reaction to Johnson's comments was strong and came fast. Many people online questioned how the reported numbers could make sense when WNBA teams are often believed to lose money each season. One person summed it up with a blunt comparison. If I own a hot dog stand that lost $50 million last year, what would you pay for it? That question gets to the core issue. If teams are struggling financially, how are they suddenly being valued at hundreds of millions of dollars? The disconnect between reported losses and soaring valuations has left many fans doubting whether the numbers truly reflect reality.
Johnson said he's not really saying that the team ain't worth that. He's saying that he ain't the sole owner of it. This is interesting. But let's read some of the comments. It says, thanks for clearing that up. They don't even cover their expenses, tax write-off, charity, toward the ultra-rich can speak. Have a blessed day. The league lost money every year. If I owned a hot dog stand that lost $50 million last year, how much would you be willing to spend to acquire such an asset? If you want to subsidize women's league, that's fine. But don't pretend that business is booming. So this is somebody. Who is this guy? Oh, he's just nobody.
This confusing financial picture clashes with Forbes' claim that the league is thriving. If the WNBA has been operating at a loss year after year, then placing such high values on its teams becomes hard to justify. How can franchises be worth hundreds of millions if they rely on ongoing support just to stay afloat? That gap between what many believe is happening financially and what's being reported raises serious questions. Who gains from presenting these teams as highly valuable, and why push that story now? The difference between the numbers on paper and the day-to-day reality is no longer hidden. It's left fans and insiders questioning the league's entire financial narrative.
Fever. Now the Liberty, yeah, they probably in that too because they've been around for a long time. The Fever been around for a long time. I don't know about the Aces, how long they've been around. But to look at these teams, they all have been operating in the red. We all could agree on that. So with a team in value like that, that do make it kind of suspect in a sense. I just got to keep it real. Somebody said, just you, Mr. Real Magic Johnson, LA Lakers young veteran coach is serious pissed off. I don't know what that means. Somebody said, bro doesn't even tweet my Commanders anymore. Laughing my butt off.
Recent reports list some surprising valuations across the WNBA. The New York Liberty at $120 million, the Las Vegas Aces at $310 million, and the Phoenix Mercury at $300 million. Even newer teams, like the Golden State Valkyries, are said to be worth around $500 million. One claim goes as far as saying the Indiana Fever's $335 million value is mainly due to Caitlin Clark's star power. Taken together, these numbers raise a serious question. Are certain teams being priced high because of hype and speculation rather than real financial strength? This puts the league in a tough spot. The popular saying is, numbers don't lie. But these huge valuations don't seem to match the financial results many believe the teams are actually posting. The business world relies on transparent, accurate data, and when someone with Magic Johnson's experience questions how these values are being calculated, it signals a deeper problem. This debate isn't just about a single report. It touches the core of how the league's finances are being presented and understood. Many of these franchises have operated at a loss for years, yet their values have jumped into the hundreds of millions without a clear path toward long-term profitability. If the losses are real and ongoing, then the current valuations look disconnected from traditional business logic. That gap between reported worth and actual performance creates risk for everyone involved and points to the need for a closer, independent look at the league's financial health. The idea of a rapidly growing market for women's professional basketball is something many people want to see. But if the growth narrative depends on inflated or misleading figures, it could harm investors, misrepresent progress, and weaken trust. Magic Johnson's comments go beyond correcting a number. They challenge the entire financial story being told about the WNBA's future. Magic Johnson's decision to publicly dispute these valuations is rare and carries serious weight. Inflated numbers don't just make for flashy headlines. They can shape major decisions inside the league. If team values are exaggerated, owners could argue that profits are lower than expected during CBA talks, potentially limiting player salaries. On the other hand, investors might pour in money based on unrealistic projections, only to face instability when real revenue fails to match the hype. This isn't just a financial issue, it raises ethical questions about how the league presents itself and who stands to gain. Johnson posting his correction directly on X rather than handling it privately shows how serious he believes the problem is. It wasn't an offhand comment. It was a strategic move to draw attention to what he sees as widespread inaccuracies. A challenge like this from such a respected owner puts immediate pressure on league leadership to respond with clarity and honesty. So far, they haven't said anything publicly, and that silence is being noticed. The timing makes the situation even more sensitive. Players are currently negotiating their new CBA, and if the financial figures being used in those talks are now being questioned by someone inside the ownership circle, it casts doubt on the entire process. Accurate numbers aren't just helpful, they're necessary. Negotiations could slow or stall until players have access to verified financial data and a true picture of what each team is worth. Johnson's statements force the league to take a closer look at how valuations are calculated, who confirms them, and whether leadership has been providing the transparency players and investors deserve. His comments don't just correct a detail. They shine a light on the financial standards guiding the WNBA's future. When an owner questions the accuracy of team valuations, it signals a breakdown of trust and oversight that the league must address immediately. The possibility of a broader investigation into WNBA finances is real and urgent. If a Forbes article can misstate ownership and possibly inflate team values, other figures may also be in doubt. Regulators, investors, and both current and prospective owners are now likely to examine the league's financial statements more closely than ever. This isn't just about perception. It's about the verifiable financial truth. A public challenge from a respected figure like Magic Johnson creates a clear crisis of confidence for league leadership. Allegations of inflated profits and unfair valuation strike at the heart of financial integrity. Such a high-profile internal dispute demands more than a simple press release. It often leads to structural and leadership changes within an organization. The pressure is now on the commissioner and league office to respond transparently. Ignoring or downplaying Johnson's statements would further erode trust among owners, players, and fans. A full, honest accounting of WNBA finances is no longer optional. It's essential. Addressing this controversy isn't optional. It's essential for the league's credibility and for the leadership's future. Magic Johnson's public fact check has shaken the WNBA's financial narrative, exposing potentially inflated team valuations and raising serious questions about transparency, integrity, and accountability at the highest levels. This isn't just about correcting a report. It's a reckoning for the league. The gap between reported figures and actual team values affects players, investors, and the league's overall trustworthiness. Leadership now faces an unprecedented challenge to respond quickly, restore confidence, and demonstrate genuine financial integrity. How the WNBA handles this moment will shape its future, determine the credibility of its economic framework, and define the tenure of those currently in charge. The fallout from Johnson's revelations has only just begun, and the consequences are likely to be profound.